Thank you. Are we on here? Okay, thanks. Mr. Hart, will you please provide us with the invocation?
Father, we thank you for this day and your many blessings to us, and as we begin discussions tonight and budget, we just pray for your wisdom and discernment, that we will make the wise decisions in behalf of Sumner County. We ask these things in that name.
Amen. All right, I entertain a motion to approve the agenda, long, lengthy as it is, but I do have some
additions.
All right,
Before we do that,
you go ahead and then I'll.
one is just what passed out. I know this is what passed out of legislative as far as the discussion on the parking garage, paid parking, everything else. I know that's under old business item A. So basically, not that we got to discuss that tonight, but I just want to make sure that gets on the agenda for next month. We had some research about moving to paid parking.
Yep, I'll mention it.
So, second item, I was going to see if we could add changing our time to 6:30 versus 7. And then if legislative spills over, we can wait.
I'll put that under I'll put that under my report. That's fine. I'm good with that. Anything else? Okay, I've got some to add here and some to remove. So without objection, I would like to remove item E1. I understand from from our finance director that is item new business E1. New business E1.
6E1.
E1?
Yep, at the very, very bottom. I'd also like to remove, pardon me here, let's just look at it. D2B, it was, D, no, it was the finance, it was from finance.
Old business item C.
What was you trying to find, and I can tell you?
The financial management thing?
Financial management.
It's 5C
5.
on the front page.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you're right. I had it marked. Yes, so I'd like to remove that. And then I'd like to add, I'd also like to, there was a car seat item. Where is that?
D2B.
Under new business.
Yeah, remove that guy, D2B, under new business. Yep. Child safety, yep. Remove that guy.
D2B.
Oh, okay.
Then I'd like to, so we talked about adding the courthouse parking discussion, we're just going to carry that on under old business item A. And then I'd like to add a budget amendment request under new business, so this would be new business item F. So that's this guy right there, that's, actually, no, this is going to be under, well, actually, we can make it under, this is budget, let's put it under A.
Could be under 6C5.
Yes.
6C5 and put on finance appropriation with things.
65?
Yeah.
Or would it be under 6A?
Appropriation.
We can do it under 65, that's fine. Okay. Budget
What is
amendment 6,
it?
budget amendment, it's this guy right here.
The one I passed out.
What are we adding to this guy?
What's it called?
The EMA thing that I passed out.
EMA?
Yeah. Just vote.
Oh, votes.
So there's that one, and then the last one is, budget amendment, sorry, I grabbed this one earlier, budget amendment 6, this is under, 6A, this would be 6A5, and this is budget amendment request number 6 for the schools. So, lots of changes. Okay, subject to those changes, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So was
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Recognition of the public. We have, Ms. Joanna Daniels.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. I'm here representing the library board tonight, and I see that the tech grant is on there. And I think 4 of our libraries are here, and since you know that I'm also on the budget committee, if you have any questions. And then also, we are making sure sure that we are all certified by May, the end of May, because that impacts the tech grant, so just wanted to make sure you guys know that. And then also, there's trustees meetings coming up in September. We make sure to get as many trustees there as possible because that also influences how much money our libraries get. So we just want you to know that we are here to support our library directors and doing everything possible to make sure that our library directors are doing fun things. So, thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Charlene Hallmiller.
Gonna go through a bunch of things at once. I'm Charlene Arnold at 143 Golden Circle, National Tennessee 7275. As far as the parking garage, somebody mentioned in legislative that the state pays for parking, but every state employee actually has access to free parking. They get a parking permit. It just may not be as close as they want. So they sometimes pay for parking that's closer. And then it comes out of their salaries as pre-tax income things. So, and then also the tax delinquent resolution. I do believe there's 10 years statute of limitations that if the property isn't sold, then you do not get to collect the taxes on it. So I think there were some things that were mentioned in the last committee meeting that were inaccurate and wrong. But you might want to take the time to look into that before you pass the resolution. As far as some of the other items for Millersville, last month I saw that there was a request to increase the budget from $300,000, or budget amendment request from $300,000 to $521,000 with zero backup or anything, and that was going to pass right through. So I'm glad to see that that was carried over to this month. Thank you very much for that. And I do see a lot more support on it. One thing that's not mentioned in there that was inaccurate from the interim city manager's discussion from before is that when the city of Millersville passed it in May of 2023, they included in the budget for the funds, the matching funds for that. So I'm fine with our county using ARPA grants to supplant that matching fund, but their matching funds and their project went into September 2026. So we need to make sure that the date and timeline of when they would be able to fulfill that TDEC grant matches the ARPA grant timeline that we need. And also, there are just some administrative issues going on in Millersville that I'm just concerned that they won't be able to fulfill their ability on the TDEC grant to complete that by the time that we would need to spend the ARPA funds. And I just don't want the ARPA funds to go to waste. The other thing that I'd like to point out is that the item B, $253,760, which is just an estimate for the update to the volunteer fire department for the Millersville fire department associated with the EMS living space. This just seems really coincidental that it's coming right at a time whenever the fire chief out there also wants living space. And so I just want to make sure that if we are using county funds to update any facilities, that whether they're city or in the county or whatever, that it is going to be dedicated to the EMS personnel. It's not going to be shared with city fire. I mean, I've heard this commission argue that cities should be paying for all the facilities for EMS because we are the ones benefiting from the service. I mean, Hendersonville has been blasted time after time about their fire departments and the county commission has often just walked away from anything that they're going to build there. I would like to know how many times the county has funded updates to accommodate EMS, and I'm totally fine with it, but I do want to make sure that it's for EMS and this isn't just to, like, basically have the county funding Millersville when per capita, the rest of the cities also need to be sharing in those funds as well. If we're going to start updating fire departments, let's just do it. Let's start saving some Hendersonville city taxes for it too, okay? We're going to have to be even if we're going to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, seeing no other folks in queue here, we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for both April 28th and April 29th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All righty. Just my report here, the only item I have is the one Mr. Mansfield mentioned, which I'm happy to address, change to 6:30. I'm fine with it. I'd entertain a motion.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're at 6:30. I spoke with our county mayor earlier, And, Mr. Isbell is not gonna be able to make it today, so he has no report. Mr. Loring.
Item number, on page number 8 is just a financial statement memo saying that the county's financial statements will be available at the Idaho County Commission. Any county commissioner wants a hard copy, we can print them, but we don't print them unless you need them because it's further expensive. Item number 2, if you remember at the budget meeting, I actually, and I passed it out, a public sector survey, and if you look on page number 10, is the email that was attached to the public sector survey, which was actually, there were some questions about it. This is the group that actually, did the survey, and it kind of talks about it in some brevity. But on the other side, on page number 9, they actually gave us a quote of what it would take to update our existing salary survey if you want something more specific. There was a lot of questions because a lot of the positions weren't there. Kind of my discussion with them, I think what you're interested in is more is something like the survey where it shows the top end, the bottom end, and the midpoint. I think so. And the cost would be about $13,000, and that would be them recommending EMS and sheriff's salaries.
Would you like a motion to discuss?
I just have one question.
Okay, motion to discuss.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Go ahead.
The one thing that you had asked for is when it would be done.
She told me it could be done before July 31st, and if we start now, enough to accommodate your deadline.
Okay, so we need $13,000 to be done.
Yeah, if you want, we'll start pulling, we'll get a PO after the commission's meeting, and if you approve it, waive the second reading, and, we're gonna start sending her data.
Could it be earlier? I mean, is it possible they might finish earlier?
Way she reads, she says, we can get started as soon as you're ready, and somewhere she said we can accommodate your time frame, because I told her it'd be earlier. And I will get if you approve it tonight, I will email her tomorrow and get Ms. Allison to remind me, and I'll email her tomorrow to see if she can give us a hard date. Tell her we'd like to have it done, July 15th, if possible.
I just have one other, can we start it tonight before it goes to commission? We couldn't start it till next Monday, right? It's full commission.
You would have to start the full commission.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it, I just.
I don't have enough funds in my budget, probably have to find it.
Just real quick, so this would be more specific to any positions that weren't presented to us previous at the workshop?
You had a salary survey earlier, any unique position was surveyed, but it's been a couple of years back, and there's been some positions added and changes. This would be specific to Sumner County.
Now, that one that we had the other day, we had from 2022, was that a study?
It was, if you look here on the back, it says it's based on the fourth quarter in 2023, which would be
So that was 2023.
through the fourth coming through the end of December, so you're relatively
Close.
close. Yeah, we kept saying we were a year off, because my recollection, I thought she meant fiscal year, but she actually says fourth quarter.
So, is there a motion to appropriate something here or direct law, or do we want to?
I think we're still discussing.
I'm gonna, let me go ahead and I'll get my own cue here. There's no such thing as a perfect salary survey, and if we do this, it'll have its own kind of flaws and its own holes. My hope is that this year, we're making pretty considerable changes based on market. So, it's my hope that after this year, we'll be able to adjust based on just COLA, move forward, with the exception of some spot checking around here and there. This was the plan this year, was to make these market-based adjustments, and the idea isn't that we have to make huge market adjustments every single year. I think I'm gonna be against this, just because I don't think that you're not gonna get a perfect result out of it. I don't think it will meaningfully impact kind of what we plan on doing. I mean, right now we've got a kind of a starting point, and we're having good negotiations back and forth with the department heads, and I think that's probably about as good as we're going to get. Go ahead.
I agree with you, and I believe I would be against this, because it seems to me that Mr. Long's team has done an excellent job of making comparisons. And I think you're right, there's no perfect cost study. And we can spend $13,000
know that if it's any closer to where we're trying to go, then it would, but that's just.
Well, go ahead, Ms. Miller.
I was just gonna say, if we have up to, you said the fourth quarter of 2023, I mean, what's gonna be much different? I'm not
It's
related.
not specific to Sumner County, so that's why we can't find it. That's what I think.
But we're comparing to other counties anyway. So,
No, if you're trying to find a specific position like we were at the meeting, you had trouble for comparisons because they're quite a bit different. They took a generality of a lot of positions. It would be more specific. But let me be clear, if anybody's against it, then it was going to require to waive the second reading to meet the time frame, so it's kind of a dead point anyway.
Yeah. Ms. Boyd?
So I guess I'm just going in the other direction. I would like this because we have some salaries out there that I felt really uncomfortable that we had department heads. We had one and we couldn't say we negotiated, but they left the room. But when they came and asked for a $37,000 raise for their employee because they felt that that was market, for $13,000, I got people asking for $37,000, two of those. I got people asking for $20,000 raises, and when we ask why, they say, well, that's market, that's where we should be. And some of those positions are not on the survey that we saw. So we got big dollars out there, and either this table's wrong or that department's wrong, and I'm not in a position, I don't have the skill set, I don't know.
And I can forward you the 22 survey, but it's going to be a couple of years old. It will be close for match, but when I talked to the salary survey, there's been a lot of salaries that's moved considerable in Middle Tennessee. They said it's calmed down now, but since we did our survey in 22, there's been a lot of changes.
Mr. Brown?
Is this survey going to be used for this budget or next year's budget?
It would be this one if you got it by July 15th. You can combine spot dispositions.
So we would have to renegotiate on everything we went through.
Or we find out we were right or wrong.
Yeah, I know.
So basically what it's going to do, you're going to have the bottom, mid, and top. So you're going to look and see a fully trained employee should be somewhere towards the mid, a long-term employee maybe toward the top. Your entry level should be beginning above the entry. That's what we're looking at.
I got to say, that timing, we're going to get through with this in May, and then people are going to, the department heads will get a chance to look at it, and I'm sure there will be some, one last bit of adjustment, but then we wait till July and do all of this again, I feel like it just caused more problems. Mr. Long, Mr. Brown?
I'll give you a possibility that may take some of the pressure off. Give you time to think, put it back under old business, give you time to think about it. Go ahead and work this year's budget, then next year you can compare the ones to see if you miss some. If they're too high, then you could decrease their cost of living. If they're above max, if they're within range, you leave them.
That makes sense.
You find 1, 2, 3 below range, then you bring them up next year. Early in the fiscal year, if you get pretty close, you could actually adjust it at the beginning of next year.
Mr. Brown?
That was more, let's just front load this, have it ready for, say, February, March of next year, and then we'll have the parameters in which we look on this.
Or you can bring back in August.
Well, so do we have, is there a motion here?
Well,
Go ahead.
I would make a motion that we include the $12,000 in the commissioner budget, and we budget for it. If we're gonna, I'm good if we're gonna move it to February, but I want a budget for it. That would seem proper.
Okay, is that your?
That would be my motion, is to add it to the commission budget.
Making adjustments in the middle of the fiscal year for all.
We do, that's totally separate discussion. That's what Mr. Long said, but we don't have to do that.
You could increase them, but decreasing would be significantly more difficult.
I just want to make sure I'm understanding this right. What would be your recommendation tonight? Should we go ahead and implement this and just work overtime basically to get it right, or do we just go by what we're doing right now?
You're pretty far down the budget, and you're going pretty well. What I would say right now is you got a couple of choices. Number one, put it under old business or in the budget, and do it July, August, or September. After you're done with the budget, go back and do a back review. Number two, go ahead and retain them, but have it for that back review. But if you've got specific positions that you're concerned about, ask them to only look at those, like the 3 or 4 she mentioned, or some of the department heads was the major concerns.
But there's
2 or 3 ways to do it. You can adjust up, but I think it's going to be hard pressed to adjust down, but you could adjust to the cost of living in the future. So say you overshot somebody, you may not give them a cost.
So I'm just gonna make a motion to put this to old business.
You made a motion.
Well, I'll amend it. Did you get a second?
I didn't ask for one. Or you didn't ask.
Is there a second?
My motion, if I could restate, my
restate
motion is that we add a budget item for $12,000 to the commission's budget.
There's some
To
motion.
cover the-
13, we have a
Oh,
motion and a
13 to
second.
cover it, I'm sorry.
13,000, is it second good with the 13,000 number? Okay, I'm gonna make an amendment to it, and that is just to move to old business. No movement of funds or budget right now, just move it to old business until after July, that's my motion.
Does that still get it on our budget on Thursday?
No,
Because I want to add it to the budget,
I just wanna move it to old business, I mean, it's a little different.
but we'll lose the budget. My motion is to add it to our budget item.
I know, I mean, I
But
just
if we
wanna,
move it to old, we don't do that. So we
it doesn't,
move it.
we can, I mean, you can change the budget. I mean, it's $13,000, it almost doesn't matter either way, but mine was just to move to old business.
Point of order, I guess, we restate the question. You got a motion.
Yeah.
Restate your motion.
My motion is to add an appropriation for $13,000 to our commissioner budget to cover these costs.
Who, when, timing, what's your timing?
Mr. Brown was wanting February.
March would be better.
Mr. Long's recommending August.
It'd be FY 25.
What's, just pick one.
I'm going fourth quarter.
Okay.
August, November.
Just a point of clarification, I guess I don't understand how it's different than putting it in our old business.
That's.
I don't understand.
So Ms. Boyd is saying she wants to, functionally, it's not much different, she just wants to earmark the $13,000. I'm saying, I don't wanna do anything, let's just put it to old business, that's simpler. We can earmark, $13,000 we can earmark later if we need. So that's my motion, it has not gotten a second, which is the amendment. So, we have a motion and a second on the amendment, any discussion on the amendment?
Quick question.
Go ahead.
So long, I
Go ahead.
apologize if you started this, and maybe you said it and I just missed it. What we've done right now with the budget, with the salary studies and the cost of living, the whole thing, do you, I don't know if you can answer this or not, but do you feel confident that we're close enough to the dollar amount for these employees? Like, are we way behind the eight ball on some employees, or are we pretty, do you feel like we're pretty close?
I think you're moving closer to market and some are maybe even overshot because we can't really tell. That's what you're gonna have is specific to this, but the changes you're making a good faith effort to compare them to the market data that we do get from Burris and Associates.
I just don't want, the reason why I'm asking, I don't want to shortchange an employee somewhere, so I just want to make sure we have the opportunity to correct that with what we're proposing.
You get a new number and it can go up or down, okay?
No, I just want to make sure.
You're probably gonna
that's
hit
the
the range with most of these. So you're gonna have a minimum, midpoint, which is where a fully trained employee should hit, and then a maximum they shouldn't really go past. You're probably gonna have them all over the place. Your hopes is that none of them go below the minimum or excessively above the max. And right now, we don't think there's any, but there's no way to tell.
On those, where there was not a specific point of comparison, which were few, but they were there. Just want to be clear, the majority of them, there were at like versus like.
Next year, you could earmark money and deal with it.
Any other questions on this one?
So your amendment to her motion is just to put it.
Just to put it up.
Her motion is just to appropriate the money now,
Right.
use in the next calendar year.
She wanted to appropriate the 25 budget, is what she's saying.
Correct. There's no difference in terms of like action taken. It's just that one appropriates the money, one does not.
One appropriates the money now for.
Correct.
Use months from now.
Correct.
I would be earmarking it, and
Mine's
we'd
like-
be just kicking it down the road.
I'm just kicking it down the road.
She just wants us to note it for the 16th to discuss it.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we got motions on the board here, so let's go ahead and, any others on this? All in favor of the amendment, I'll restate it, which was just to move this to old business, which is basically what you just said, we'll just move it to old business. All in favor of this? Aye. One, two, all opposed?
No.
Okay, so now we're on the main, all in favor of earmarking this?
Aye.
All opposed? No. Okay, motion fails.
You said no on the first one?
No.
No on the first.
The no's carried on the first one. The only yeses on the,
But I need to know who it was.
the only yeses on the amendment were these three,
Okay.
us three.
Okay.
And then, the only no's on the main were Shelton Miller.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay, so they were exactly inverse.
Thank you.
They're exactly inverse, all right, I didn't hear you.
So you have.
It passed.
But it'll be
Okay.
a second read, so we'll-
So we'll now earmark $13,000 toward
Can we-
the commission.
It needs a second.
Well,
Can we do a second?
Well, it don't have to be in the 25 budget anyway.
yeah, it doesn't matter, I mean,
So we just couldn't bring that.
yeah.
So we'll put it on the 16th, we'll note it on the 16th.
Okay, transfers, go ahead, Mr. Lon.
The first
I would,
Move to group and approve.
we have a motion to group and approve, second. Okay, we have a motion and a second, who'd like to?
We're on, item D.
We're on,
Item C1.
C1, all, are you saying all of them?
1 and 2.
What about, I just wanna look at.
There's
two.
C1, is it just C1 or C1 and 2?
Can I look at two
C1
again?
You, I think it'd be easier if you just do C1. Okay, and so we have C1, the second is good with C1. Any discussion on C1? These are all transfers, nothing that new, just want to say that for the record, correct, Mr. Lon?
That's every one of them,
All right,
including two.
all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All righty. Got to entertain a motion on the interbudgetary, item C2.
Have a discussion.
Motion to discuss?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Aye. All right, Ms. Boyd, go ahead.
I'm always leery, it's the end of the year, it's the end of the budget, are we moving money around just so we can spend money in one place or in another, or we don't know, or it's just coming to us?
This is about usual, and there's certain departments that move more than others, but I don't know if it's because they need it or because they
It's the
wait
end of
off
the
to
year.
buy, or they wait off to buy things they need to make sure they got money. Didn't see anything that just really stood out. A few things I have questions about, I did call the departments if I had a question about them. And one of them is I had toddler insurance.
I actually have one.
So,
I have one, I'm glad you did this. So, the ECC replaced 18 dispatch chairs for $33,000?
Yes, that one caught my
they
eye.
replaced all the chairs.
How much is that
For
for the chair?
$33,000?
Those are those big chairs that go with those workstations.
That's been $40,000 for the courthouse.
Wait, how?
$2,000 a chair. For those big expensive different work areas.
So,
And we can, oh, they're here.
we have, somebody from ECC, somebody from ECC.
Oh, good.
Oh, hey, so, motion to suspend the rules, second, all in favor? Aye. We gotta ask, 13,000 for, I mean, we one of these things that, 33,000 for, I mean, maybe it's legit.
Yeah, these are, chairs that are meant for 24/7 operations, which they're sat in for that amount of time every day. The current chairs that we have now are 7 years old and falling apart. Any chair that you get for the dispatch center is gonna be about the same. The chairs that we purchased are also rated, for up to 550 pounds, which are necessary for some of our staff.
This is also purchased under the GSA contract. So we actually got, a hefty discount, they're usually around $6,000 a chair, for,
Getting the chair making business.
Yeah, ball bearings.
Really?
They were quite expensive last time, 7 years ago, too.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're
They're more expensive 7 years ago, and they've actually fallen apart from 7 years ago. We're hoping they'll last that long.
Can I ask,
Boyd, go
what
ahead.
is your staff, is it 18, are we replacing the whole lineup of chairs?
Our chair is made up of 18 consoles.
Okay, so we're replacing all of them.
As they were saying last time, they were just expensive, and they were down for
and these actually have a better, warranty. They have a 2-year warranty and it covers the entire chair, whereas Iron Forge only had a 5-year warranty, and only covers the skin. So this covers everything.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Just quickly, so the chairs at my work cost about $50 million, each of about ridiculous stuff. I know that chairs are getting expensive for the long-term usage ones, and so that's not where I'm going with it, but for some of them to be rated at 550 pounds, we have those at work too that are higher ratings than others, but we only have a small percentage of those chairs for whoever needs them. That's not the norm because they do cost you more. We wouldn't buy a whole office full of the highest rated chair when the majority of people don't need the highest rated chair. So that may be something we could look into for saving money, at least explore.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. I mean, I don't know, this is one of these things maybe I'm sneaking around. I would not have thought to spend $1,600, $1,700 on a chair, but, okay. Any other discussion on this one? Oh, no, I'm gonna, go ahead,
No, I don't, not on this one.
We're gonna bring us back into the rules here. Any others that we wanna call out here?
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Klein.
County buildings, we have $16,500 in elevator repairs.
Elevator over here.
Yes,
They caught on fire.
it's out.
Oh, this one right here, yeah.
It's in three different.
It ended up coming in as the first quote, they worked on it, they found problems, the second quote, we had to transfer several times. Oh, okay, it's just still there, I think they said first the motor burned up, and I think they found some other issues as they got into it. Yeah, it's on here, like, here.
Ground
Okay, it doesn't.
$500 T-deck.
Here's the answer, I asked about it.
Category.
My inquiry was this part of the construction or the reoccurring for the grant match, and the response back from Ms. Northfleet at the time was, this is the T-deck part, or RAPA permit fee for the park ARAP. It is not eligible for expense for grant match budget, so we plan to pay 101 county buildings for the park location. This was one of the expenses I had expected to have for the project that we originally requested to carry over, but it wasn't carried over, and they said they'd take it out of the original budget.
I want to make a note here, and Jessica, Richard, appreciate you for kind of tapping me on it. There's, just like we were discussing in budget, once certain things are approved within a line item, when we were talking about salaries or something that needs to move, there's not a lot we can actually do here. So they're authorized to do this already.
Let me tell you how this works, okay?
Yeah.
To keep POs and everything moving, otherwise the county comes to a screeching halt. The purchasing policy, I'm allowed to move within line items.
Correct.
Non-salary line items, the same major category. If I don't think there's going to be a budget member specifically objective vote against it, then I usually transfer those. The policy says I can just transfer, but if I think the committee is going to object, I usually don't do those. And that's why I try to get information, just like the chairs, we've already purchased them because last time they were more expensive, last about 7 years, and they do use all 18 of them. If I think it's a particular issue, I think there's 2 or 3 I'll pull off before I come in here. But, or if you're aware of something that's a particular issue, let me know, I will pull them.
Well, the whole thing about the ground part is there's so much we don't know about it. I thought the school district is going to pay for everything.
Remember, that's when I was asking earlier, are we moving forward, stopping, let's negotiate? I have not heard. I mean, there's a lot of confusion on this park where it's going right now.
Yeah,
We've got.
We need to stop it with the grant there, because the thing, you've got 3 parks, you've got.
Are you on a particular line item?
Yeah, I'm on.
He's on the very first one.
Oh, okay. I'm like deep into it.
Buildings.
Okay,
Okay.
The $500, the Brown Park, T-deck, ARAP.
okay.
My understanding, the one thing originally started, there was the $500,000 from the trust. There's $100,000 from the county, and then there's another $100 to do a while back.
Right.
Then there was, $125,000 from the county. And then there's $625,000 worth of grants, makes $1.3 million. The other day, my understanding, there was going to be some negotiating between the mayor and everybody, but the project wasn't going to be stopped, is my understanding. Are we stopping the project, right?
This is all news to me, David. So, you know, what I have a problem is funding something that we don't even know what the rules of the game are. You know, and I know it's just $500.
So what I would suggest here, and I don't want to cut off the discussion, but we have a lengthy, and there's nothing we can do to affect these. If we want to potentially change the rules, or such that, to put more controls on it, I think that's a different discussion. But right now, these have already been either
I would recommend
or
sending back to
paid.
Gen Ops. I'd recommend sending this whole project back to Gen Ops so it's cleared up, because right now, that's the thing. This project is running that way, and I've had questions whether this project's stopping or going, and nobody's clear on it right now.
Yeah, and we should know in Gen Ops.
I mean, yeah, we don't need a motion for it. You guys just take it on.
So right now, what I can do, and it's supposed to,
Right.
there's grants involved, so it may throw everything to a screeching halt. You may see a screaming that the grant's not gonna have, but what I'll do, and if you can make a note, I'll form Ms. Browning, and when they request transfers, to reject all transfers to the Brown Park until it's dealt with Gen Ops at this point.
Yeah.
I can completely stop the transfers. I can't stop them from the right line item at this point, but I can't stop transfers.
Mr. Mansfield.
Just clarify what David said, I mean, the problem is when the commission is not giving information, one.
Exactly. Remember, there was discussion on the commission floor that no money was being spent, so the following month I brought back to this committee that money was being spent. And my understanding at that point, it was still moving forward, but I don't know if we're stopping it now, or I'm at a loss where we're at on it, so if we need to stop it, I can stop transfers. And probably the best thing the Gen Ops chairman to request the mayor send it back to Gen Ops. Because it is a county property.
I would like to do that because I think there's a lot of legal questions with it too still.
Second.
Oh, yeah, do we even need a vote on it? I mean, I think you just do it.
He just emails them and I start.
Yeah, I think we just do it.
If I'm aware there's an objection, I won't do it, so really nothing has to be done. I just can't undo this.
Right. Anyway, if there was any other discussion on interbudgetary?
I have
Well, that's into the, it's into budget, it's into the year.
I just have a couple of comments. First a comment and then a question. Under description, we get, the increase side. And that leads me back to my first question, is how do I know it's not an end of the year adjustment just so we can spend up the budget? Can we have both sides of the description in the future?
Yeah, we can enter it, but that's what I'm saying. The reason we don't is because the amount of staff time it takes to put all this in the sale, just like a lot of the other stuff. We can do it, but I also have to put a staff member on it.
I don't want to take up a lot of time. I can look up the codes myself.
But,
it's usually not this huge.
Yes.
And it's just the end of the year that I feel I need. It just feels.
And I could probably tell you what some of those are if you have a question about some of where they're coming
Well, and then,
from.
so, I understand the staffing constraints. It leads me to having to look up the object code, but maybe that'd be good for me.
Well, I can, if you have questions about particular ones right now that aren't labeled, I probably know what they are, or I can find out.
I wanted to know, is this a duplicate here, Henderson Library, 1600 and 1600?
I asked and I was told no. I've seen that one too.
Well, there's another one also.
There's two of them back there, I think.
The Brown, it's on page 31, and it's down page.
I mean, it's just $500. One's the match, one's the grant.
Well, it says permit fee, $500 each time.
I didn't have to do that, I guess, that's what I asked to do.
All right, any other discussions on these?
Over here.
Oh, go ahead, Mr. Klein.
Bottom of page 31, Sheriff's Office, decrease $5,625.25 to equipment to rework existing live scan stations of $22,311.
Where are you looking at?
It's all netting out.
Yeah, there's multiple lines. They're not a one.
It's all in different lines right here.
It's not a one-to-one, it'll be all the sheriff stuff, on the other side will be the same.
So, there's a live scan.
I believe it's the fingerprint machine, and I'll have to ask him, but as far as I can recall, I think it's the fingerprint machine. I can ask him tomorrow. I believe it's the fingerprint, and is this the jury fund? What page did you see that on, Dave?
It's on 31. Bottom of 31, fourth to the bottom line.
Yeah, it is.
I will verify that, but I believe that's for the fingerprints.
Any other discussions on these? Okay, I don't think we need to vote on this. I mean, I think we typically vote to approve these, just to have them in. All right, I'd entertain a motion to approve, subject to all the commentary that we just had. Motion, second, all in favor? All righty. Moving on to our business. All right, moving along here. City of Gallatin, item A here, so this is, I think we would, like to get an update on the $907,000 outstanding, and also consider, a commentary from, legislative on moving this, just taking control of this, this property and the operation of it entirely. Mr. Mansfield?
Well, I was say, I think, David, for legislative, what happened was, the question of basically just taking this on and county being the sole owner of this garage and then operating it as a paid parking garage, looking to, obviously, as Mr. Sims looking to make sure, like, do we even own this property? Like, we don't, I mean,
So here's what I'd like to do, and I don't think we need to have I don't think we need to have a huge discussion on it, because I don't think we're ready yet, but here's what I think we'd like to do, just build out a potential P&L on, where we make the assumption that we can, take sole owner-operator of that property, what the upfront cost is gonna be, and then build out a P&L on a go-forward basis for it, and bring that out as a business case for this committee. And then there would be a second ask, which is just to understand what the current implications of the deed is. So those are the two things.
question the spaces that were Gallatin for the 2.4 million, they were told they were keeping, they gonna keep those, or we're gonna give that money back?
We would be giving that money, in this proposal, we would give that money back,
Back and charge them for the
and we would take total owner-operator role on this. That's the proposal.
So basically, I'll probably
Let
need
me,
to get.
we're just bringing this up, I'll entertain a motion for discussion. Second. All in favor? Aye. Go ahead, Mr.
So
Klein.
you're proposing, really quickly, we pay them back, then we put one of the gates down with the the machines where you actually do the pays in there, so you get an RFQ out to.
Yeah, or even just the one where you drive in, even where you do the one where you just drive in and out, right? Like if you do like the WeGo or.
You drive in and you got
the little app.
back out, yeah.
Because if you do that, you could also, give some, you could give somebody who are county employees or something like that, basically where they get a zero.
So you
have some control on it.
You want the drop pants in the app to make.
Yeah.
David, there's a lot of things that Eric and Steve are gonna have to look for. We don't have, or I don't know of any contracts with the Christian Town. Is it Christian Town? They have 35 spaces that are given to them, but I don't know if there's any documentation for that.
I haven't seen it, but it doesn't mean.
Who is going to be on, or who is on the title of land of the property now, and who is it? Who is the city of Gallatin? Are we gonna co-own it? We
have it on our website, and we pay the payment too. We can pull it upstairs, there's a thing.
Yeah, I've got a list of stuff down as well,
As far as I can recall, no.
Yeah, I just got an update.
Mr. Lon, do you, sorry, I'm not trying to, I'm just trying to move us along here. You got that, I don't think we need to vote on it, you've got our directive, we're gonna keep this on old business.
Yep.
We just need to know what the, total sunk costs are gonna be, and then P&L going forward, and then find out who owns, any complications with the deed. All right, Franklin Street Stormwater, we approved this, and last night entertained a motion, for discussion or approval.
It's already been approved, but Mr. Klein wanted to pull back, he had a concern for something that was going on down there, he's still in discussion.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, Mr. Klein, go ahead.
Okay, well, there actually are two issues. The $300,000 was approved for the storm drain alone, and so that's going to bid according to the mayor. We're having the documents drawn up for, I think it was a $10,000 bill for that, but we fully expect to save a whole lot more than we're gonna spend. That project will probably be under $150,000 versus the $500,000 it was going to be. But we do have, the $400,000 that was allotted for putting the services underground, electrical services underground. We don't have any contracts. Initially, there were power poles that were moved to the opposite sides of the street at both the county courthouse and at the parking structure. All that work amounts to about $252,000. But we're totally, and I have no reason not to trust Gallatin Electric, but there were no contracts apparently ever created. I got an email back from their attorney, and he said, well, this was all just done word of mouth, that's the way it's done here. And I find that incredible, that we would have two buildings built, agree to have power lines moved on the other side, there's no documentation at all. So that's what I'm trying to find. I've talked to our attorney about that. He says, it is what it is, and that I may be opening a Pandora's box, but I'm gonna try to open it anyway, just to see.
No, you will, Mr.
Well, we gotta start doing things right here in this county.
Probably gonna run into the services, we've got to have the services, they kinda got us over a barrel.
Well, I realize that. What I'm trying to make sure is that the work that was done out on Franklin and on Smith Street is equitable to the work we have to do to put those services underground. If indeed that was our responsibility to pay for it, and it's their desire to put those services underground, and they cost about the same, that's a good swap, because we could have done that when Turner put the vault in and the transformer on the vault. We could have just gone ahead and done the whole thing, and probably should have. But this is
kind of holding?
I think they've already given us.
Oh, have they now? It's got that dealt with, okay.
Is that not right, Eric?
That's correct.
So,
Well,
do we have, is there anything you'd like to do or change?
I'm working on it.
All right,
So, we need to hold appropriation back.
go ahead, Mr. Mansfield.
Who said that? I mean, that, just,
Brandon Meredith is the attorney for Gallatin.
so you have no contract, so this project exceeded its scope.
No, this was one of the first things done. In order to even start those buildings, you had to move the power lines. So one of the delays on the parking structure, for instance, was AT&T would not, they just said, we're too busy, it's closed, we don't have people.
Costs a lot of money.
It cost us a ton of money. So because AT&T couldn't move, neither could Gallatin Electric. But what they ended up doing on Franklin Street was moving 5 poles and putting in those new metal ones. And what they did down on Smith Street was move 2 poles and then all of the ancillary stuff that has to happen to give the buildings power.
But you see, there's a portion where this wasn't in any agreement, it's just kind of like, hey, you kind of owe us this, we kind of did this for you, but nobody knows about it, and you needed to pay us money for this because nobody knew about it.
Well,
And I mean, that's just, I'm having a hard time with that, like, seriously.
It's not that clear. You can't wrap this up into one pretty package and tell one straight story on this. There's emails that went back and forth. There were unanswered emails that didn't get returned. So work was done on assumptions. They agreed with the emails. I cannot find a contract that existed prior. The only point I wanted to make is, because I've talked with Mr. Klein at length about this, is to understand that it probably wasn't done the way it needed to be done in the past. What we do today and in the future obviously needs to change, and I don't want to lose sight of what we're trying to accomplish for chasing everything that was done wrong in the past. That's my only point from a legal standpoint.
So I'm just gonna, again, I get the discussion.
I'm just trying to exhaust every opportunity to
Is
find
there any-
these documents.
Do we want to put a hold on this funding? Is there anything we want to do?
I don't think that makes any sense. Personally, I don't.
They will disconnect power.
Yeah,
Once they realize we can stop moving.
Right, and then we once again bear the additional risk of delays. We would be on the hook for it.
Not just delays, but the encumbrance of the generator again.
Correct,
Yeah,
correct.
and I plan
And
on,
additional fees from the contracting services to stay on the project. I'm just laying this out here, and we can, I've said it a lot of times, none of us voted for these projects. None of us had anything to do with these contracts, or lack of contracts. But sometimes you just kind of inherit a sandwich, and it is what it is. And that's kind of, I think, where we are. So and I understand we're trying to put this out to the public, I get it, that's fine, but is there anything we can do here?
no, I'm just bird dogging these documents.
Got it.
If they're not there, if they don't exist, they don't exist. But we've got invoices for $252,000 and no contracts.
No, I get it.
That legitimize those invoices, so.
Any others on this one? All right, I don't know, we've already voted on this, Mr. Long.
Doesn't need to be
I don't know that we
done.
need
I
to.
brought it back if you want to kill the appropriation, otherwise it's going forward.
All right, so I don't know that we need to vote on it. We removed, item,
To be clear, are we dropping this?
yes, we can drop that. We can remove that going forward. Mr. Klein, unless something changes, if something changes, by all means, bring it back up.
Okay.
Until then, this is gonna be removed. Item 5C is removed. Item 5D, 5D, there are 3 pieces under it. The first one, D1, is the sewer project for $1.75 million. Needs a second reading. I'd entertain a motion to approve or a motion to discuss.
Just ask the question.
Second.
Motion to discuss, okay, all in favor? Mr. Long?
Before you discuss these 3 items, because we're going to be May, June, if these contracts aren't going to be closed in May and June, you're going to have to carry it over in the budget again anyway. Do you just want to move it to the 16th and deal with it in the 25 budget? Because basically, for us to carry that budget over, there's only one thing, the commission might come and recarry the money, or you're going to have to assign.
You know what, I like that idea because we're gonna get to look at, I think The reason I like that idea is that we're gonna get to look at this in addition to like what we're gonna be doing for capital expenditure anyway. So let's just, I'd just like to.
Can I,
Go ahead, I'll get you.
can I just add to that? I know the 16th, we're right on top of it. But the one item I wanted to discuss is, I represent Gallatin. Did anybody ask Gallatin if they got sewer problems? I mean, I wasn't here to say, you know, my district, but this is Hendersonville and Millersville. My district's got money problems too.
This, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
with the amount of money they have cost us on this building, I'm not gonna ask them anything.
I know, but I'm paying my utility bills in Gallatin, and I, the resident, have nothing to do with the parking structure. And if my rates are gonna be, I just want to say, let's be fair and
I don't blame any,
And I'll tell you, Mr. Wynn's gonna be bringing a request from White House also.
So, let's,
I just want to put it out there.
I like the idea,
It's coming.
I like the idea of putting this over to, I mean, we've got it in here, let's consider it with budget, because it'll be basically stacked up with capital, and we can learn what we need to spend using capital, and we can, if it needs to be changed, we can change it.
I only bring it up because I don't know
I
if
like
I get a
that.
contract by June 30th.
Are you talking about 1, 2, and 3? Cause I have a question about 3.
3, I have, it's 501c19.
Okay, so I was wondering, no one's asked me any questions about that.
That's a question. I looked at the documentation they sent. They said in 1972, this became a 501c19. And the statute says 501c6 and 4 is what we can donate to, so that'll be something Eric will need
So
to
let's put that there, and then we can have the answer to it for the next budget. We just gotta give you a couple days.
That's all I need to know.
Just to be, so we're clear here, we can say that we disposed of it. I would entertain a motion to consider this as part, under the workshop section, under capital.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor? And that was for D.
Yeah, I have a question.
We've already disposed of it. Sorry, I'm just trying to remember.
Well, I'll make the, at the answer, I'll be asking that question.
I'll get on Thursday.
Delay, Millersville.
That's okay. We can deal with it, we can manage it on Thursday.
Okay.
All right, let's do this. 5-minute break. We're moving into new business. 5-minute break. Oh, I haven't got to go to the restroom. All